Okay, Chapter 8 now, supporting your ideas. We're going to talk about some different ways that you can back up your information and make sure that we understand it. Supporting materials are just ways to support your ideas or your thoughts. The three main ways to use supporting materials are to use examples, statistics, and testimonies. Now we'll go through each of those three. Examples are exactly what you think they are. They are stories or illustrations used to illustrate or represent a group of people, ideas, conditions, or experiences, or the like. There are three different types of examples, and the names of these are exactly what they are: brief examples, extended examples, and hypothetical examples. A brief example would be one that is very short, usually under 30 seconds, just a quick snip that you could let somebody know that you can make that connection. Instead of telling the entire story of the day of 9/11, all you have to do is mention 9/11, and everyone has it in their mind. So that's a brief example. You can just throw that out when you're talking about terrorism, and everyone knows. You don't have to tell the entire story. An extended example, however, would be one that you spend a little more time, maybe up to a minute and a half telling the story. The Oklahoma City bombing, most people know about it, but they may not know as much information about it as they do 9/11. So you might need to spend a little more time on that. And then a hypothetical example would be one that could possibly happen. And you want the audience to think about it and not respond, obviously. Tips for using your examples. Use examples to clarify your ideas, especially if it's something you're not sure the audience is going to quite understand. Put an example in so that we'll get it. Use examples to reinforce your ideas. Even if you think we get it, back it up even more so that we will really understand what you're talking about and be on your side with it. Use examples to personalize your ideas. Any way you can connect to the audience is always a good idea. So if you can make it personal, make a personal story out of it, it will help. Make your examples, it should say vivid, I'm very sorry, not vice, vivid and richly textured. Give us the details. Tell us about the story, especially in your extended examples. Describe the events, the smells, the taste, the sights. Use your flowery language. Tell us all about it. And then last, practice your delivery to enhance your extended examples. Short examples, the brief ones, not too difficult to present. But your extended ones, you really need to practice them to make sure you get all those details in there. And make sure that you make it very clear and very fluid for us to understand what's going on. Okay, the next type that we're going to talk about is a statistic. So supporting materials that we have so far are examples and then now statistics. Statistics are used in speeches to provide numerical data in an easy to understand format. This is using any kind of information that is in a mathematical sense. So it's going to be the percentages of people that prefer one thing over another. This could be information that you gathered from your questionnaires that you have created, if you decided to do that. But anytime you find information that is in a numerical sense, make it into a statistic and use it that way. You're probably going to be finding in your research a lot of statistics already presented for you, and you can use the best ones of those, the ones that are easy to understand, and make it easier for us to grasp the differences, especially when you're comparing and contrasting two different events or two different things. Understanding your statistics. Make sure that your statistics say what you think they say. All too often, people use statistics and they think that they're getting good information, but a lot of times it's the exact opposite of what they meant to present. Make sure that your statistics are truly representative of the situation. Make sure that they are what is you find in other places. Don't just find one random statistic out there. Look and see if there's other places that you can back it up. And then make sure that your statistical measures are used correctly. Make sure that it's from a reliable source as well, going along with that. Make sure that they have not been skewed in any way so that you can be presenting accurate information to us. Some tips for using statistics. Use them to quantify your ideas, make it more easy for us to understand, and to put it in a numerical sense so that we can judge what we need to know from it. But use statistics sparingly. The human brain cannot handle learning a list of numbers over and over. We will tune you out. As soon as you use one set of numbers, our brain automatically sends a little signal saying, oh, they're using numbers. So make sure you sparingly use the statistics. Once you've used them twice, most audience members start shutting you down. If you use them a third time, the entire audience is lost. No one's going to listen to them. So if you want to use your statistics, make sure I'll skip down to the bottom of the page here, use a visual aid to clarify it. If we can see something along with the numbers, we can understand it. But if you just list numbers, we're not going to understand what's going on. So make sure you're using them very sparingly. Identify the source of your statistics in the speech. We'll talk about this at other times as well, but always make sure that you tell us where your information came from. Don't just present a statistic and not tell us, because then we think, oh, they came up with a statistic on their own, and technically that is plagiarism at that point. So you need to tell us where your information came from. Always explain the statistic. If you can't explain it and you don't understand it, don't use it. That's general rule. If you don't understand the statistic, don't use it. And then if it's a complicated number, round it off to the nearest number. Round it off to the nearest 10 if you need to. So it'll be easy for us to understand and follow along. Next, the next kind of supporting material is testimonies. Testimonies are quotations or paraphrases used to support a point. Quoting versus paraphrasing. Only use quotes if they are brief. If it's a long quote, more than 2 or 3 lines, we're going to tune you out when you get in the middle of it. So just use a very short quote. Otherwise, always tend toward going toward a paraphrase. If you are going to use testimonies, try to use expert or peer testimony. Expert testimony is from people who are recognized as being experts in the field. And peer testimony is testimony from ordinary people who have first-hand experience or insight on a topic. Try to make sure that your testimony is one of these two, either an expert or somebody that's first-hand. Otherwise, there's no real point in using the testimony. That's just another person's opinion, and we need to have a reason to want to listen to their opinion. Tips for using testimonies. Quote or paraphrase accurately. Don't make up what they're talking about. Actually use the direct quote if it fits. If it doesn't fit, don't use it, but make sure it's accurate. Use testimony only from qualified sources and from unbiased sources. And then identify the people you quote or paraphrase. Just like your statistics, tell us who they are. Don't just say, I found this quote. Tell us who it's from. It will mean much more if we know who it's from, rather than just knowing you found a quote somewhere. And then last, I've already mentioned this twice now, cite your sources orally. In your speeches, specifically talking about your persuasive speech coming up, cite your sources orally. When you give your speech, you must tell us where you found the information. Just like in a research paper, you must tell us where the information came from, or it is considered plagiarism. So, as you are presenting your speech, you come to a statistic, you tell us, according to U.S. News and World Report, 42% of the people in the world feel this way. That has told us where the information is coming from, and we put the statistic in there at the same time. It's very simple to put this in, but it's also very easy to forget it. So make sure that when you're writing out your persuasive speech, that you do not forget to put this information in. Okay, I hope this chapter has been helpful, and I hope that you have enjoyed learning a little bit more about using supporting materials, and I look forward to seeing your persuasive speeches coming up soon. Thank you.